Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I really do continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And greetings, everyone. I'm back from a, I'm back. And I'm not sure where I left to, but I'm back. The last couple of days have been sort of a whirlwind in trying to get back here to the house with Duggar and everything. Hey, Witch Moon. Hi, Barry. How are you? Susie Q. How are you? Um, got a lot of things I'd like to share. You know, the last 2 weeks have been some really interesting adventures on my part. But one of the things, hey Teresa, how are you? One of the things that I having my friend Rob here, he took care of the house while I was gone, and then he showed up this afternoon. And um, for I'm not his father, but for my Father's Day present, he mowed the field and the trails, and oh my goodness! Hey Alex, how are you? Yeah, I left him with his original parents, and they called me last night and said that, they really appreciated that I let him take the dog, for that 2 weeks. And the grandkids got to play with Duggar and all that. So for them, it was, they liked having Duggar. 2 weeks was enough, but they liked having him. And he only tried to run off once or something. So, but all that worked out. He's home now, and um, we're both trying to get back into the um, for me being home kind of thing, because I'm, every 2 days we was packing up and driving hundreds of miles, but I got to meet all my brothers and sisters all at one time, and let me tell you, my friends, whew, what a story there is in that. I'm going to tell you. Hey, Dark Truth. But that isn't so much for this conversation. Um, Let me back up a couple of days. Hey, Lady Spitfire. Nope, I just got here. 3 minutes. So you're early or not late or something like that. But this being Monday, I think, um, on Wednesday or Thursday. Thursday it was. We went fishing, and I was crawling on some rocks. I had a walking stick that was just right. I was being careful, and I stepped on this rather large rock and did not know it was like a pivot. And the next thing I knew, I had put my walking stick down for balance. But the next thing I knew, that rock underneath me pivoted and threw me back down on the shore against the rocks and against these trees. And that hurt, let me tell you. And so I've been really being careful since like Thursday of last week. And Friday we went and crawled down the side of a mountain to a waterfall that's absolutely gorgeous up there in Tennessee. Didn't fall there, but just walking around and down, I'll tell you what, that me being my age, getting tossed and thrown down on the rocks on the riverbank is if it had been flat surface, I'd have been okay, but boy howdy. So I'm lucky I didn't get hurt worse than I am. But got some sore spots, and I got a bruise on this elbow and a bruise on this shoulder here. I got a bruise on this arm and back over here. I got a bruise on the back of my leg, and so that was an experience. But what I thought I would like to, hey Amanda, how are you? Hey Michelle, Yeah, I'm not, well, in a way I am complaining, but I was not expecting that toss, against them rocks. But, you know, I'm a tough old buzzard, that's for sure. I didn't break anything, but I sure bruised a bunch of stuff between the tree I landed on and the rocks. So, but anyway, I'm recuperating from that. Plus, to top it off, Friday we ate something, and me and my sister both had to runs all night long Friday night. I know this is TMI, too much information, but then we got up early Saturday morning and drove all the way down here to South Georgia. So, it yesterday I didn't even want to look outside. I just, rested and took care of myself and took it easy. And then my friend Rob shows up today, and we went out and did some lawn work and stuff. So, um, got a little hotter than I wanted to this afternoon, but I'm good right now. I feel like I'm back home again. But in my brain, there are so many things that happened. I think I'm going to be in a jet lag for a couple of days. But one of the things I did want to discuss with y'all in general about the trip. So we went, up to Atlanta and to my niece's place, Jennifer, and stayed a couple of nights up there with her kids and got to hang out with her. And I hadn't seen them all. I'd never met her son. So yeah, that was a really good visit, and proud of her and everything that she's achieved. And got to meet some of the neighbors and the school kids and stuff like that. They had a little party in the backyard, and got to, hey Max, how are you? Aaron, how are you? Thank you. Glad to be back. Glad to see you all are still out here and surviving. But one of the things that interested me was that wherever we went, it was like nobody was really concerned about the mask thing or the COVID thing or Black Lives Matter or a lot of stuff. It was just people living everyday lives. And so in listening, paying attention, they're more worried about, how the property taxes are and who's moving in and out of the neighborhood and, and these different things. And the problems of the world are just like, okay, there were 4 different nationalities of young ladies playing in the backyard that one day that we were there, the Sunday we were there. Having a little splash party with on the trampoline and the water hose, and had a wonderful time. 4 different nationalities, actually 5, if you count my white niece, grandniece, I guess it would be. And everybody's playing together, and Mama's there and bought pizza for everybody, and it's like, from the ground there's all people, I watch the news and look at stuff, and there's so much strife and there's so much this and that. But going to the stores and stopping at places along the way before we got there, and my niece took me to a couple of places to check out the Chattahoochee River in case I could get up there with my kayaks and go float up there. There were people who were getting on the river that day when we were up there checking it out. And it's just a mile or so from where they live. And it's like, wow. So, but, you see all these people who are acting normal. They're getting in their inner tubes and going to go float down the river. People are going to the store. They're interacting with each other. And it was like, it was normal. So it's like, okay, so, Atlanta and all this, and people are going to be like that. And places were open, people were acting normal. And it was like, oh my God. So then we left from there and go to Tennessee. So we're up through Chattanooga and up through there, and people we meet and stopping here and there. We got twisted around in Spring City in there and stopped at a couple of places, and the people were absolutely marvelous. Hey, we got friends up here. We lost their directions, and we don't know where they are. And municipal building, uh, my sister's phone wouldn't work anywhere. She couldn't get a signal. And of course, where her friends lived is up this mountain that ungodly to get to, literally. And but all the people up there, when we talked with them, and they're like, no, they did the mask thing for about 2 months when it first began, and nobody's getting a shot because they're hillbillies up there, and they just don't trust nobody, and they're like, no, none of us are sick, so why should we do it? So all this paranoia that seems, if you look at the news, so. And it wasn't just in that little town, but I mean, all the little towns we stopped in or slowed down through, you could see people interacting, nobody's freaking out. And there were a couple of places where the gas stations were out of gas. But folks there, they were like, that happens once in a while, so if you looked at the news, you'd swear that everywhere you go, there's strife and turmoil and all this stuff. And it was like, I kept looking out the window. I mean, people were just acting normal. Yeah, Lady Spitfire, Red Top Mountain. Yes, I do, actually. Have been there. It's been a while, but I've been there. So, but anyway, so from Tennessee, then our next journey is to go up into Ohio through Kentucky. So driving through Kentucky, everything's fine. Stopping places here and there, get something to eat. We're able to go inside. People are very cordial. Nobody's wearing masks. The odd mask once in a while. Nobody's driving down the interstate with a mask on. You know what I mean? Right through Cincinnati and into Dayton. Well, actually, south of Dayton. But nobody's freaking out. Nobody's going crazy or anything like that. We go into Dayton, meet my brother that we'd never met before. Went to his house. Everybody's cordial. Everybody in the neighborhood. We went out to eat and sat down. Most of the places were open seating to the folks, and so everything was opening up there. And folks acting normal, none of this strife and none of all this panic. And so there's so many things. I missed something. Hey, Amanda. But so going up more into Ohio, up around Russell's Point up there, and seeing how normal it is up there and folks having a summer. And, the night we got to Russell's Point, there was a church group there that was celebrating something, and they had a fireworks display that night. And let me tell you, for 20 minutes, it was like fantastic. And we were just like a mile from it and could watch it from where my brother's house is. So, but so for all the places that we stopped, visited, could just see people on, acting, at the store getting gas or something. Just absolutely normal. We came back when we got through there. I did talk my sister into to going through Ohio, which it was a beautiful trip. And we didn't have to fight the interstate, and we stopped at Serpent Mound for a little over an hour. I walked all the way around. I've got some pictures. That was an interesting feel about it there. I wish that I'd had several hours to where I could have just stopped along a few places, but I got a chance to be there. I got a chance to touch the earth and feel what it was like to be there and take some pictures. So the experience of it, is like that's that's cool. I can bring that home with me. Hey, Cherry, how are you? Hey, Pearl, how are you? Yes, we had a wonderful time. Um, we had our issues along minor issues like I got into these tiny little ticks. I am here to tell you, um, smaller than the head of a straight pin. The round end. I mean, really, really small, and bite your ass. And man, oh man, you couldn't see them. And I got ate up with them. Let me tell you. But I live in Georgia, but we went all the way through Georgia, uh, from Chattanooga all the way up, um, all the way through Kentucky, up 75 mostly, going up 75 almost to Lima, and then over to Russell's Point, then all the way back down through the state of Ohio into northern Kentucky, there around Ashland and Portsmouth in Ohio, and came down all the way down 23, all the way from Kentucky, um, and then through that little bit of portion of Virginia, and then into northern Tennessee, where my niece lives up there. And let me tell you, they live back up in the hills. It is beautiful up there. Little creek right beside the house. I mean, right beside the house that joins up in a bigger creek out by the road. And so I just had to take my shoes off and go out and stand in the middle. You know what I mean? It was a nice trip. It was to be able to see all the mountains again. And um, I used to go up there all the time. In fact, I was telling my niece, I said, the lady that built my drum, that I've drummed with here, um, she had hurt her arm, and I had stayed up there at her house, and it literally like 15 or 20 miles from where my niece lived, and I didn't know it. And while I was there, I was up in Cosby for like 3 weeks helping her build drums and flutes and stuff while she recuperated. And I could have drove over to see my niece several times, and her husband, etc. So, it in a lot of ways, for me, I kind of regretted that, somehow I hadn't acted sooner. But from my own point of view, with all the things that happened within the family, and they all stay in contact with each other, but this is not a complaint. It's not. Okay. And family members, if you watch this, I love you. This is not a complaint. But some family members call others more than others, kind of thing. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm not sort of in their loop, and it's okay. But some of them have been chatting back and forth, and I've not had any conversation. So my point to that is they know each other better, okay, than they know me. But after this visit, I think they all know me a lot better. As the older brother, I'm the tallest, you know, only by a fraction, but I'm the tallest. Um, just about the skinniest. My brother Arno, he's kind of slim build like me, so but it was really interesting having there were 9 children that were born. One drowned at the age of 3 up in Ohio, and so 8 remained. Our next youngest brother after my sister is Michael, and he doesn't like Michael. In fact, we decided that we're going to call him Dennis, which is on his original birth certificate. And we had a wonderful conversation. He and I are more alike than any. You swore that we, we just had the same kind of things, the same kind of, you know, natural kind of stuff, outdoors and carving and just stuff, just very interesting, having never met him until last week. And, you heard me say probably a bunch of times, that I ain't dead yet, right? Well, that he was laughing at me the other night, and he goes, I said, what's up? And he goes, that's one of my favorite sayings. So we even say the same things and use similar phrases, and we didn't meet till last week, So how weird, but how cool is that in the cosmic, scheme of things, if you will. And with each of my brothers and my sister, there are things in common that we've never ever really officially met before. But we have these things in common. My brother, he's got his living room is set up as a band room. And, we played music together for the first time ever, Not much, but we were goofing around and in between stuff, and folks were coming over to eat. And, we took a few minutes and went in there and just pounded out a song or two. And that was really great. Kind of wished that over the years, that I'd have been more, of course, it's a long way. It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long, 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 long way. Anyway, but in my older age, I'm hoping that I could get back up there and just spend a little time and not be so much in a rush because my sister had to get back. And I understand that, don't get me wrong. And then while we were gone, we get a phone call that my Aunt Shirley, who's 86 down in Zephyr Hills, had fallen, and that several times. And they found her on the floor in her bedroom. And I think another time in the kitchen or something. And so at the moment, she's in the hospital and they're trying to stabilize her. Apparently, she has more medicine than the family kind of knew about and was either not taking enough or taking too much of her meds because she's starting to get a little old timers thing going on. And so my sister, she was headed back anyway, but we found out that, that our Aunt Shirley, who's, been sort of a matriarchal figure, but she never had children of her own. And she always treated, nephews and nieces and grandnieces and everybody like her own. And so she's getting on in age. And, I hope Aunt Shirley recovers enough to, be able to continue on a little while. She's still, for her age, she's still very healthy, where I've been in the hospital several times and stuff like that. But anyway, we have spotted ticks that are bigger ticks. Yeah. Oh, the tick thing, these things were so small. I mean, we got regular ticks around here and you can see them. These things, I was like, what? I thought it was a speck of dirt and went to, brush it off and it was attached. And I went, what the hell? Man, I went to dropping my drawers right on the spot. Let me tell you, buddy. But I was in heavy leaves and I spent 3 nights in a hammock, actually 2 nights in a hammock. And it was with interesting sleeping in the hammock with what I had, but it was a good test. It was nice and cool outside, other than the neighbor's dogs, which you just can't help with. It was, lovely camping out up there. So except for the ticks everywhere, but um, nonetheless, it was a good experience. We went walking down to a site, and for my medicinal things, my sister got all over me about that and ribbing me, tickling me, whatever. Um, but in one trip down the trail, I encountered 6 medicinal plants that I have been trying to spot for a long time. And I was like, oh my God. So I got pictures, and I could actually say that I saw that up close. There mullein up there. Oh my God, Tennessee's full of it. Um, there even up there at Russell's Point at the lake. We're sitting by the lake, and I told my brother, I said, "You see that plant right there, and that one right there, and that one right there, and those 2 or 3 over there? Yeah, those are all mulleins. Really? What do they do?" And I explained. So folks have stuff growing right around them that they're not even aware of. And when I mentioned some of this stuff, they were like, "Well, you know," and I said, "Look, mullein cured my kidneys issues way back when, and some of y'all are having similar issues. And I'm here to tell you, how hard would it be to go collect some leaves and make yourself some tea? I mean, so I'm hoping that, I left a little bit of wisdom. But what I'm hoping is that they'll act upon it. My dear brother is, he said, well, my back is bad and I can't bend over to tie my shoes. So now I get slip ons. And my thought to myself was, you need to lose weight, brother. I weighed 250. And when you can't bend over to put on your shoes or take them off or whatever, it's time to quit eating so much. It's time to, you know, um, restrict how much you eat. It's not so much as a diet as, you still eat what you want. You just only eat a little bit of it instead of a bunch. And but I got to say, the family likes to eat. There's nothing wrong with that. But, um, my my sister Lynn, she told me she's borderline diabetic, and I got onto her, and here she is, chewing on a bag of red licorice. Like if you're almost diabetic, you can't be doing that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, I'm not here to bully my family. I care for them a lot, and I'm hoping that some of my conversation with them is like, please, for your own good, maybe you should hold off on the Twizzlers. I love you, and I told them so. So, but anyway, but in meeting the family and having secrets revealed about what, hey, Project, how are you? To go from green to deep purple. Project Skyfalls had a login tree. Hey, Crafty, how are you? But I saw a lot of medicinals along the way up there. Looking out the window, I took my book and so forth, and spoke about it to those folks who really cared. And so our last visit on the way in Tennessee was with my it would be my nephew-in-law, my niece Mary, her husband. They're a good couple, and he's a really nice guy. Well, we went up the mountain, and he actually found some ginseng and pulled it up and said, "Here, you take this back with you." And so I showed him that he had mullein growing right in his backyard. And he was like, "What?" And then I showed him some other. He was like, "Really?" And so they do. He said one season he made a living off of ginseng. Now you got to go up in them woods and you got to go walking and you got to know what you're looking for. But anyway, so was able to chit chat with him about medicinals and concoctions and that so much. So it wasn't so much that he knew how to make them, but that they were valuable. And so I just, my talk was, use it if you got it. You know, there are things that are growing right behind the house. I mean, he was going to use the weed eater and cut them out. And, hey, you could just take them and dry them, and save them for later because this stuff is good if it's easy to dry. So the best I could do was to, drop little hints and some information and conversation along for those who wanted to hear it. But I was surprised still, even when we went into the small towns and the little cafeterias and the this and the that people were just acting normal, you know, and that it's not what the newspapers want to tout America. Now, were we everywhere? No, but we went through Ohio, we went through Georgia twice, we went through Tennessee, going up and then coming back, Kentucky, up and back, and so not in the same place in different parts of the state. So, and then we also were in Virginia, and for 100 miles or so, but enough we stopped, got gas and something to eat, and some of the locals, we struck up a conversation, and an old geezer like me standing there having a chat, and his conversation was why here in this little piece of Virginia where we were people still kind of locked out and people were wearing masks. And he was like, I'm from Bridgeport down or Kingsport down here in Tennessee. And he goes, everything's open down there. And what's with these people up here in Virginia? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not from here, but you're right. Of all the places we'd been, that was the tightest, and that was on the way home. So don't know, but even going into the Air Force Museum up there in Dayton, which was phenomenal. Oh my God. I'll figure out how to get some of these pictures and stuff might end up being on Facebook. But I'm going to see if I can upload some of these pictures and things and do sort of like a slideshow on YouTube. But anyway, I had read the thing about, well, everybody's got to have a shot and you got to wear a mask and all that. Got there to the museum and walked up and nobody had a mask on. And they were like, they had a little metal detector. Do you have any knives on you or anything like that? No. If you do, they beep or whatever. But we'd been warned to leave our knives and little metallic objects in the car, right? So, but other than that, most people are walking around. There were a few folks with masks on, but by and by, there's several hundred people, if close to 1,000, wandering around through the museum. And by, most folks aren't, trying to stay away from anybody. It was really wonderful. So, in my, how do I? My friend was asking me, so what are you taking out of this journey? Well, out of this journey, I'm so glad to see that America is the home of these people who just want to live and get along and go hiking or camping or boating or keep a job. And everywhere we went, my friends, there were now hiring, help wanted everywhere, every store, every gas station, no matter what the business was, every single town we were in or stopped or whatever, help wanted signs. And so if there are people who think, the economy wants to pick up, there are people, there are jobs out there, and there are companies. There was a KFC that was opening. They had a sign out front that said, $13 an hour start, guarantee no mask. Help wanted. So it's like, at least where we were in all those, let's see, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia. So 5 states, but we went through, Kentucky twice, Tennessee twice. Oh, and North Carolina then coming back through, come to think of it. So that's 6 states we went through. And folks were just trying to be normal. So, if you look at the news, they still want to argue about how many people are getting sick and how many this is going down. And, you know, um, there's another pandemic. Well, in middle America, they're not even paying attention to it. Like them folks in Spring City, they were like, no, we just didn't pay any attention to it. Nobody made us wear a mask in the store. Nobody, some people did and some people didn't, and they just didn't pay attention to it. So, where a lot of folks are getting caught up in the hype, there are still some folks who are apparently still petrified and terrified, and that's a shame. But by and large, they was less than 0.01% of the people we saw in the last 2 weeks of driving, and all the miles and all the little towns and everything we went through. And it just, so that for me, that was a view from the ground of true America. You know what I mean? It might have been, I think it was Tennessee, but it might have been, we went through most of Kentucky and spent the night on the edge of Kentucky and Virginia, coming down. And I don't think it was in Virginia, but it could have been in northern Tennessee up there, or southern Kentucky, right along in there. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, it was like, but everywhere that you saw, the people were offering at least $10 to start. No matter what it was, they were offering $10 an hour. Several places, $10 start. Now hiring. So that's interesting. Hey, Project. Yeah. Hey, Doug. How are you? I know I haven't said hi to everybody. Um, I'm still wore out from. I still got a jet lag going on here, so forgive me if I don't seem like my old self. Plus, I got very sick the last day and the trip down, and I'm still recovering. My stomach's still way out of sorts. And plus, I've been outside this afternoon and helping to mow the lawn and so forth. So, but I wanted to get on here and at least let you know that we had a safe journey. We ran into a little bit of rain, but not much. When we were in Dayton, there was a tornado and there was hail coming down, about this size and smaller, but man, I mean, it was really coming down. And we had a couple of showers come in, but nothing that really interrupted, our activities up there of visiting and everything. My brother, Dennis, the one none of us knew until 5 years ago, kind of thing, or so. He came up with his wife, and then my brother Andy, he came up from Dayton with his wife the day we were leaving, just to say goodbye, because his wife has been in and out of the hospital and just doesn't do real well with big crowds. But Andy wanted to see us before we left, so for a ride, his wife likes to ride through the country, so they rode up to, sit with us for an hour before we left, and that was all very pleasant. It really was. I broke down several times because there were things that were said, and um, we got to know each other versus, well, that's my cousin. No, it's my brother. Uh, a lot of weirdness, and that's for another discussion as far as family. And but there is some interesting twists in the story, and we all kind of sat around and looked at each other and said, this would be one of those hallmark moments where, you know, 8 out of 9 returned. And our interesting thing that Dennis was the third born, but he was given up right away with no direct association to the family other than his name, Dennis Allen Null. Now, he was adopted by a family with no connections to uh, our quote grandmother. The Wicked Witch of the West is Catherine. We don't even want to call her grandmother, but so Catherine. And she was a wicked witch, man. We saw some of the pictures of her, and she really looked like the Wicked Witch. And but how Catherine destroyed all the families, except what she thought was good. So the fact that Dolores, my mom, she, turned us away in the snow when I was 3.5, and then my sister was born, and then my brother adopted me and my sister, and because of the situation, they couldn't adopt. Guess who? Dennis, the first Dennis. So when they adopted him, they changed his name to Michael. And then later on, when Dolores got married and stayed married, and then had John and Andy and then Arno, and somewhere in there, Dennis again. But at the age of 3, that Dennis drowned. So she lost a Dennis twice. And in having a conversation with the family about how strong she was to have had to give up firstborn, my sister, and then Dennis, the first one, had another shot at it and named Dennis and then drowned in the river. So it's like, heartache upon heartache. But after all that, 8 of us returned, and it was interesting because they've had her cremated. And so my brother John went in the house and came out and said, okay, everybody, mom's in the box. Everybody touch the box. Let her know we're here, kind of thing. And so we're sitting around, and John and everybody reaches over and touches the box where some of her ashes are in. So it's like, will the circle be unbroken? And I think one of the things that we all learned was that we had been kept out of the circle. But now, after all that's said and done, and we found that there's no animosity between each of us. We're really mad at some of our family members who lied to us all of our lives. And so in that, I said, here's one thing that's really important, though, that whatever the deal that they made, and I got some objections about my use of the word. And I said, listen, they had to sit down and parlay my adoption. And then my sister, right after that, they had to parlay that, And then, so they had to sit down and make some kind of deal. You know what I mean? Whether it was some kind of, I don't mean like deal with the devil or nothing like that, but they had to sit down. And here's the thing, they held to it. I mean, they kept a secret. Whatever it was that they agreed to maintain, they did. And I see the honor in that, whether we agreed with it or, and how Catherine treated even her own children. It's just like, man, the woman was whack. She was whack. And mommy dearest kind of stuff, you know. I found out about what Becky did to my sister Lynn. And I'm like, what? And if I had known about it, I think I would have intervened or said something or done something, but I didn't know. And so many secrets that have been hidden by each of us in a way came out to make the whole picture. And what I got out of the family was how much they loved her. Even though she was tough on them, she worked hard, she worked overtime, she worked at a bar to try to make ends meet, but she wasn't an alcoholic and she wasn't selling herself to the, um, and they all worked together and they all did what they could. And she worked hard for that and for them. And, and later on in life, when she was failing, they fixed up a house and put her in it and took care of her, and she died there. And so we got a chance to sit there in the window where Dolores sat, watching the chipmunks and the squirrels and the birds play and everything right there outside the window. So having been able to, be there afterwards, but at the same time be able to experience what she experienced before she passed. So it's like, it's a lot of unraveling still. It's going to take me a little while for my brain to like catch up to all this stuff. But anyway, so I didn't want to, I am tired and I need some more rest, but I did wanted to get on here and tell you all, uh, hey, Aaron. Hey, Witch Moon. And as far as the view from America, there was a lot of new construction going on and stuff. So a lot of places, trying to do the cleanup thing. Neighborhoods looking good, and I was really impressed. Where there, I know I know there are slums. You know what I mean? I know there are places, but and we didn't drive right down through town and look for them. But even going through Macon and some of the places we went to on our way back south, it was like I was remarkable how everybody seems to be taking care of things. There's there's trash on the side of the roads, but there are also bags and where people are picking it up and so and oh, one thing I noticed everywhere, people are bringing in their drinking water. Nobody's got, I won't say safe drinking water, but it tastes like crap and they don't want to drink it. So everybody's bringing in water from somewhere. And I'm like, oh my God, everybody, up in Ohio and Kentucky and everybody was bringing in water for their coffee pot and stuff. And I'm like, man, so that really surprised me, country or in town. So yeah, our water's so bad, it messes up the coffee pot. So we go to and our drinking water and we use it from here. And wow, okay. So I realized just how good I got it with the water that I got, I guess. And while I was gone, we got 5 inches of rain here in South Georgia. So everything's really green. And I came in the house and there was mold growing in the kitchen. I'd be like, what? So I got some cleanup to do these next few days. But anyway, Dawsonville. Yeah, it was up that way. Oh, hey, Lady Court. Yeah, safe and sound. They just poisoned us with antifreeze in Arkansas. Holy crap. Backflow from a plant. Yeah. So I'm hoping that everything went well with everyone while we were gone on our trip. I know there were several times where I sent out an email to Michelle to at least let you all know that things were going, but the connection never was stable enough to try to do anything. So as much as I wanted to do something live from the you know from out there, it didn't it didn't work out. I don't think so, Lady Spitfire. Not that I know of. Is anybody from Dallas? Hometown of Little Richard. What Macon is. I love Little Richard, man. I got a couple of his CDs from way back. Yeah, there you go, Pearl. That's a shame about water. But everywhere we went, there were certain issues with water, but everybody was dealing with it. But it was just interesting. And here I got, clay in the bottom of my well, and I got rainwater, and it seemed like, you know, knock on wood. I was actually surprised at being the oldest that I had the fewest things wrong with me. Now I've got my bone issues along with my brother and several others with back issues, but it was really interesting that I knock on wood. Now I don't want them, but I don't have some of these issues my younger siblings do. So I'm very grateful for that. Um, but like you all have known, I've talked about over these last few years how I've changed my diet and that kind of thing, and that I feel better for that. And I'll tell you what, having been gone for 2 weeks and having to eat on the fly and this and that, and getting out of the norm, I can't wait to get back to my own normal eating thing. I'm visiting Washington, but I might move back to Bama. No more trying the pretty berries. I just want a shirt from a salon there. So anyway, I'm going to make this an hour long one tonight. I will be back. Let me catch up and get my little bit of strength back here because, man, I got sick, let me tell you. So it hadn't been like that in a while. And between that and falling down on the river, that really hurt me. you know, if it had been on the grass or something, I'd have just rolled right up. I know how to take pratfalls. But to that same point, if I had not spread out the way I did, I'd have hit my head on a rock and they'd have took me to the hospital. So, it all turned out better than, I still didn't want to fall. That was not part of my thingy. It was not on my agenda of stuff to do. So, but I'm going to see about uploading pictures and then do like a slideshow. So I took pictures in a row of some mountains and doing down the hills and going through tunnels and stuff like that. So, as well as the waterfall and some other places and a bunch of pictures inside the Air Museum. So, and for 2 cents about the Air Museum, it was amazing what I saw of the World War I aircraft, the biplane, the Sopwith Camel, the Fokker, the German Fokker, those guys that flew those things had guts. I'm here to tell you that these things were nothing more than giant kites with engines on them. And these guys who flew them, God bless them. I mean, World War II did a whole different kind of airplane, but World War I, to see the different kinds of aircraft and to see how they were put together and to see the motors and the engines and the different types and structures. Oh my God. But to have flown one of those things back in the day and gotten into the dogfights and things that they did, Seeing the airplanes up close and being able to touch them, and it was amazing. So, but anyway, so everyone, I love you all. I need to get some rest. I'm thankful for you all, and trust me, I sent so many mental pictures your way while I was gone, especially that waterfall that I just sat in front of and inhaled all that wonderful moist air and thought if y'all could be here with me now. So that was just the other day. But anyway, so I'll get back with you. Um, everyone knows Deadly Nightshade. Hopefully, everyone but you. Oh, you got to be careful. Yep. I know that while I was gone, I noticed there are a lot of medicinals on the sides of the roads. And I've gotten back, and I'm pleased to. There's still a couple of blueberries on my bush up there, and I had them this afternoon. And the elderberries still haven't. They bloomed, but they haven't ripened yet. So I was afraid that I was going to miss the elderberry season, but apparently not. So, but anyway, be sweet, everybody. Thank you for thinking of me and keeping me in your prayers. I have kept all of you in my prayers for everything that I saw and looked at the night I sat up and watched the moon, sitting on top of the mountain looking out over the valleys. I was wishing and hoping. I took pictures and I want to share. So, I was hoping that everybody was getting some psychic energy from old Hawkeye here um, to lighten your load or whatever. So, many prayers. Thank you. And as always, I continue to pray each and every day. I did while I was gone, that each and every one of you would continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And every day that I put my feet on the ground and put my feet in the cold water up there in the mountains to remind me of the connection of all water and all things and all life, I continue to pray that each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept, receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And in that law of three, which is ever present for me, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many, many, many wonderful natural gifts that the universe provides for us each and every day, especially when we just go look. So, my friends, thank you so much. Barry, good to see you all. Project Sky Falls, Susie Q, you all are awesome too. I'll be back in a couple of days and I'll do a reading for folks, okay? Because I'm a few weeks behind in that. And I really kind of wanted to do a reading while I was gone, but things didn't work out that way. But I'm back. So, anyway, you're welcome, Barry, everybody. So, stay safe. Have a great week. And I will talk to you soon, I promise. So, cheers, everybody. Keep the faith. Remember, believe, 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 believe. At first, I never thought that I would make it on this trip. I didn't know whether or not my age and my condition would keep me from it. And I believed I could. I believed we could make it. I believed that I could meet my brothers and sisters for the first time. I believed we would make it home safe, and we did. So, believe, 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 believe. Thank you. Cheers, everybody. Until next time, adios, my friends.